everyone, welcome back to The 3 Show, your front row seat for everything NA3HL. Let's start this week's episode off by recapping last weekend, including 5 games that ended in either overtime or a shootout. Starting things off in the Central, West Bend extended their win streak to 8, joining just one other team with the league's longest active win streak. With dominant wins over Wisconsin and St. Louis, they became the first team in the Central to clinch a playoff berth. Their offense was on fire, racking up 18 goals in 3 games, while limiting their opponents to just 6. Their offensive depth was on display as 10 different players scored over the weekend. Notably, Wisconsin Wendigo NAHL tender Jackson Holmes stepped up with 4 goals, including back-to-back game winners on Friday and Saturday, bringing his point total to 41 points in 37 games. The East better take notice of the Mountain Kings, who have been on a roll, winning 5 straight games and climbing to 3rd place overall in the division. They put on a stellar performance in Kenton, completing a huge sweep and now lead the series 5-3 over the Gens. The team isn't the only one on fire. Aiden Palmer, our star of the week, exploded for 5 points in the series, pushing his streak to 6 games with at least 1 point in each. His most notable performance as of late came during Friday's 5-3 victory, where he combined for 2 goals and 1 assist, including the game-winning goal on the power play. In the Frontier, as expected, the defending Fraser Cup champions, the Helena Bighorns, became the first team in the division to lock a spot in this year's playoffs, following 2 solid wins over the Ice Dogs and Irish. Finn Terrio put on a show for Helena fans in a packed barn both nights, with the Bighorns' leading scorer turning in back-to-back multi-point performances, including the game winner against Bozeman. After posting an impressive 4-point weekend, Terrio is averaging 1.36 points per game, totaling 45 points in 33 games. In the South, the Ice Bats and Roadrunners squared off in a fierce cross-state rivalry, with both games turning into nail-biting 1-goal contests. Austin snagged 2 points, while Mike Beavis and his team managed to steal 3 after pushing Game 1 into overtime on top of winning Game 2. In Game 1's overtime match, 4 players on the Ice Bats roster recorded 2 points or more, including defenseman Ashton Morin, who remained a key offensive threat by scoring 2 goals and adding an assist. Saturday's contest did not see as much action, with the scoreboard reading 2-1 as the final buzzer sounded. 1 goal was scored per period as a Roadrunner scored 2 during the first 40 minutes, the game winner coming off the stick of Joseph Izzo, his 3rd goal of the season. Wrapping things out west, Alexandria snapped the Moose's 9-game winning streak, defeating their Minnesota rivals not just once but twice last weekend. After trailing 3-1 midway through the second period, the Blizzard hit the gas for the rest of the game, netting 4 unanswered goals to top the Moose 5-3. Ashton Collins led the charge, racking up 3 points in the second and third periods. Their momentum continued into Game 2, a high-scoring affair as Alexandria came out victorious by a final score of 7-3. Star of the week Caleb Waller picked up right where he left off after Saturday's 2-goal performance, scoring another pair of goals, including the game winner to end the weekend on a high note. Now that we've wrapped up last week's highlights, let's take a look at the exciting weekend ahead. Kicking things off in the Central, West Bend will host Rochester, a series that will be quite interesting, given these 2 teams' history so far this season. The Grizzlies lead the series 4-2, a stat that may be considered slightly shocking, given the fact that the Power sit 10 points ahead of Rochester in the standings. It is worth noting, however, that their last meeting back on December 30th was a solid 5-0 victory for the Power, Mike Sabaski netting 2 of his team's goals. Offensively for Rochester, don't count out last week's star of the week, Tyler Stewick, who is currently on a 6-game point heater. Moving up east, the Generals will head to Maine for a 2-game set with the Nordiques. Looking at each team's last 10 games, the 2 have contrasting records, with Maine being 6-4, while Northeast has gone 4-6. This series will be huge for the Nordiques as they hunt for a playoff spot. Currently, they sit 5th overall in the division, 5 points behind the 4th-place Sea Captains. With the Gens currently leading the series 3-1, will the Nords be able to tie things up with a weekend sweep, or will Northeast get back on the right track and keep climbing the standings? In the Frontier, the Bighorns will travel to Great Falls yet again for another tilt with the Americans. The games so far this season have been quite the thrillers, the last game just a few weeks ago ending in overtime in favor of Helena. This meeting will be huge for Great Falls, who hope to turn things around as they've gone 5-3-2-0 in their last 10 games. Greg Sears and his team will need to be spectacular on special teams, as Helena is 1st overall in the division when it comes to the power play and penalty kill. Offensively, Ty Obi has notched a point in 7 of his last 8 games and will be key to his team's success this weekend. Down south, after Louisiana and New Mexico have already clinched a playoff spot in this year's postseason, the third-place Brahmas hope to secure their spot as well with a sweep over the Junior Oilers. One would think this would be a doable task for Texas, as they previously defeated Tulsa by scores of 7-0 and 7-3. Finishing things up out west, Granite City also has the opportunity to clinch a playoff berth if they sweep their two-game set with Mason City. As a top team in the West, Granite has been on a roll, 11 points ahead of the second-place Blizzard, and have gone 8-0, 1-0 in the last 10 games. The Lumberjacks have had the Toros number this season, winning all of their matchups with one another with the exception of their latest game, which was a one-goal contest. As always, thanks for tuning in to another episode. Be sure to follow along the live stats and scores on our website and tune in live on NATV. And be sure to let us know who you're rooting for in the comments below.